Before we get started, let's talk about our seed giveaway. If you have followed us on Facebook, you should be very aware that we are doing a seed giveaway. We will have our drawing the first week of November, and we will announce the winners then. Now, what we have to give away is 10 packages. Now, this is not 10 packs, this is 10 packages of seeds, and each package of seeds will contain 10 individual packets of seeds from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. What you're seeing now is just an example of some of the seeds that will be in our packaging. To enter our giveaway, all you need to do is make a comment below this video and tell us what vegetable you truly love to grow. Remember, the rules for our official giveaway are posted on our Facebook page under Tennessee Mountain Garden. I'm growing something new, something I've never grown before. We always enjoy growing something new. I think most gardeners truly enjoy that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. Maybe I can say it straight this time. Yesterday I picked some Chinese noodle beans, and they're a rather long bean, but actually they're not a bean at all. They're considered a pea. A lot of people call them asparagus beans. Some people call them yard-long beans. These are a little shorter because we've been in a drought. Actually, since about the 1st of September, we've had little or no rain until today. But I have everything I'm going to need here. I have a pot with a clean dishcloth that I'll put in the bottom, and we'll use this pot as our boiling water bath. I'm going to get some jars that have been washed and sterilized. I'm going to mix up my mixture. My mixture is going to require some apple cider vinegar, some water, and some canning salt. That's going to be my brine mixture that'll go in them. To flavor them, I will be using some dill that I picked this morning from the garden and some garlic that actually came out of our garden as well. So, first thing I'm going to need to do is wash my Chinese noodle beans, or asparagus beans if you prefer to call them that, and cut these into 4-inch lengths. That's so they'll fit down in the jar good. I have my dilly beans washed. I don't use any pesticides in my garden. Sometimes the vegetables really suffer simply because I'm not going to put any harmful pesticides in my garden, especially not on vegetables I'm eating. So now watch closely. I'm going to take these beans and just like that, wow, they're all cut up and ready to be stuffed in jars. Okay, so it might be a little hokey, but everybody wants to have a little fun. I'm going to mix this like I'm making a big batch, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that. I'll be able to store this brine because my Chinese noodle beans just started producing. This was the first batch, and I've got quite a few bean vines. With the rain that we're having today, and it's rained for several hours, I should have a lot more. So, first thing I need to do is I want to make sure I'm looking at the correct side here. So I want about 1.5 pints. Okay, there we go. There's 2-3 pints. And it's called for 2/3. That's about 2/3. Close enough. I'm going to put about the same amount of cold water, which should take it up to about 7 cups. There we are. Now the next thing I'll have to measure separately is that I need approximately 1/3 cup of canning salt. should be enough canning salt. So let's put our canning salt in and get that all mixed together. Might take that just a second to dissolve because it doesn't call for this to be heated. And for those that want to know, I am following the ball canning recipe for this batch of dilly beans. Now I know that you can ferment these and get a pickled bean by fermentation, but my problem is I'm an urban gardener, and being an urban gardener, I don't live on a farm. I don't have a cold storage room. I just raise a little stuff in my urban garden and try to put it away, and I don't have room that once I ferment it to keep everything in a refrigerator. So it's just easier for me to do it by pickling it using the ball canning recipe and storing it on the pantry shelf until we're ready to use it. I know that by fermenting you get some microbes that are really good for gut health, but we do a little bit of fermentation, especially sauerkraut and stuff like that, so we'll just have to rely on that. And the wife and I both love yogurt, so we get quite a bit in our yogurt. I'm going to let that set for just a second, and I'm going to add some water to our boiling water bath. Like I said, I'm going to take this cloth and set it down in here. I'm only going to get maybe a pint and a half. I did not want to dirty up a pressure cooker. It's much easier to use this pot. It's time to fill our jars. I'm going to take, and if you've never had one of these, it's a great little thing to have. It's a garlic peeler, and it'll just bring that garlic out just as pretty as it can be. I grew these pieces of garlic in my own garden, and yes, they are rather small, but trust me, they're rather pungent. They'll do the job for us. So what we're going to do here is we're going to smash them, and that's going to help them release their flavors in our jar. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some dill down in the bottom of these jars. And I don't have any dill heads with seeds, and that's because we've canned a lot and I've used it. So I'm having to use some of the limbs below where the heads would have been. Now, the next thing I need to do is stuff these beans down in these jars. It would have been easier had I had some wide mouth jars, and I do out in my detached garage, but I am not sure on the lids, and I didn't want to take time to go hunting for some wide mouth lids, so it was just easier to do it this way. I can see where it'd be easier to poke them down in there, because you definitely want them down below the brine level. So I guess I am going to get 2 jars full. They're not packed as tight as I would like, but they're going to work. Now, I'm not going to do both this way, because some of the people in our family do not like hot pepper. Some of us do. So I'm going to put a little pinch of, just maybe a little bit more, of red pepper flakes. So now I've got it mashed down in there. That one's still wanting to be a little stubborn right there. And I know it's because he didn't get all the way to the bottom. There we go. And I thought the 4-inch would be too long, but I don't know, but what 3.5 wouldn't have worked just as well. So, trying not to make a mess, I'm going to pour our brine in that till we have about a 1/2 inch of head space. Probably going to have to take a spoon and dip a little out of that one. I got a little heavy-handed on it. There we go. And I know I probably should be measuring this, but I can pretty well eyeball it. Surprised how they're all floating to the top, so I guess it didn't matter whether I pushed them down there or not. Now, let me get a clean cloth and wipe the top of these. Anytime you're canning, before you put your canning lid on, regardless of what you're doing, make sure that you wipe the top of that jar, and you only want to tighten that jar finger tight. Because once these come out of the boiling water bath, I'll let them set for 24 hours and then I'll take these rings off. Alright, down in the water they go. Now, you may have noticed that my water wasn't real hot. I was able to stick my hands in it, and I did that on purpose. My jars were not hot. My brine was not hot. So I want everything to heat up at once. Okay, the jars are boiling quite well. I've put 20 minutes on the timer. If you're at a lower elevation, you only need to do this for 15 minutes, but because we're above 1,200 foot in elevation here on the Cumberland Plateau, it's best to add that extra 5 minutes. And if you're not sure about that, Google it. Okay, my timer's gone off. It's time to take these beans out. I did let the beans set for roughly about 5 minutes after I moved them off the pie. And there you can see our dilly beans. They're finished. And there is our leftover pickling brine, which we'll have when we're ready to make the next batch. Again, thank you for watching our channel today, and we hope that you'll take time to subscribe. We need your support, just as all YouTube channels do. So, if you get a chance, someone asks about dilly beans, be sure and refer them to our video. Thank you, and have a great day.